His manhood does not determine his manliness. A long time ago, in a certain West African village, there was a handsome young man named Uchenna. Despite being an orphan, Uchenna was known in the entire village as one of the most hardworking and respectful young men of the village, especially in farming. He was handsome and muscular enough to have any maiden he desired, but contrary to what the villagers thought, Uchenna could not bring himself to fully commit to his girlfriend Chika nor any other lady in the village. He had a secret that he held to himself for years and must protect from the entire village. The village of Omoke was reputed to have beautiful maidens and able-bodied hardworking young men like Uchenna, who were also obligated to follow the strict customs and traditions that have been in existence since creation. However, that has not been the case in Uchenna's generation. The youths lived a wayward life full of fornication without a care for the traditions of Omoke. The young maidens searched, queried and fought over young men with very big manhoods to go to bed with. The situation made the elderly men and women worrying that their customs were slowly departing from their children. The situation was so severe that they doubted if there was still a single virgin remaining in the land who could save them in case of any calamity from the angry gods of the land. One day, when Uchenna came home from the farm, Chika, his girlfriend, who had already prepared some food for him, served him inside his hut. Uchenna hated each time she visited because he knew his secret was always at risk with her around, and just as he thought, immediately he finished eating, Chika started making advances at him, but Uchenna was fast to reject her touch. Chika was angry beyond words. "Are you hiding something from me? Because you don't make sense. Every other couple in this village make love, but why is our own case different?" she asked in anger. "I'm simply respecting you as a maiden by abiding to the traditions of our land." Uchenna tried to excuse himself, but Chika wouldn't listen. He knew she was tired of hearing that all the time, and so he didn't bother to stop her when she left. It would have been best if she left and never came back, but this wasn't the first time they had an argument, and she came back just the next day. If only he hadn't forced himself to accept her after refusing other maidens, then the gossips of him not having interest in women would be the least thing he needed now. As Chika walked away from Uchenna's hut, she felt very angry at him. She was happy and prided herself as the only maiden who succeeded to win over Uchenna, but she never thought going to bed was going to be a difficult thing to do with Uchenna. She thought of what to do. Telling her friends that they have never slept together will only earn her mockery and encourage the other maidens to go after Uchenna. The only means was to solidify her position in Uchenna's life before someone else finds out. "You mean he doesn't know how to do it well?" one of her friends asked after Chika called a meeting and asked for their help. "Of course he knows, but we hardly do it. He's often tired after work," Chika lied to all of them. Another of her friends sighed, stating she wished her lover was like Uchenna because her man was more like a dog who doesn't get satisfied until she faints. With the help of her friends, Chika got a sleeping powder to mix inside Uchenna's food and make him fall asleep so she could make love to him before he wakes up. "By the time I'm done, he'll have no reason to not continue satisfying me like he should," she said to herself happily. 2 days after her encounter with Uchenna, Chika approached Uchenna in his hut and begged him to forgive her. Uchenna agreed and began eating the food Chika brought for him, and even before understanding what Chika was up to, he went unconscious. Chika hurriedly cleared up the place, locked the door, and with much anticipation took off her clothes. She quickly jumped on him and impatiently got rid of Uchenna's wrapper from his waist. She froze suddenly like a statue, her eyes almost falling out. The sight in front of her seems unbelievable. Chika quickly got away from him and dressed up before running out of the hut. She felt so much anger that she could not stop her tears from falling. How could Uchenna have the guts to belittle her with his manhood and embarrass her like this? It all made sense to her now why he never slept with her for years now, nor dated any other maiden. To think I parade myself in this entire village for a man who is more of a boy, she cursed to herself. I know how to get back at him for wasting my time while still keeping my reputation intact, she said to herself with a wicked smirk. When Uchenna awoke from his slumber, he was surprised to find himself unclothed. He knew right then and there that his secret had been uncovered by Chika. He thought of going to speak and plead with Chika after effects of drugs wears up from his body, but immediately he stepped out, he discovered it was already too late. Every step he took on the village road was greeted by whispers, laughter and scorn from the villagers, especially the maidens who once adored him. To think you are this handsome, what a waste of good looks. Chika and her friends approached him and threw mockery words at Uchenna. Who would have thought with all that pride, all you had in between your legs was a tiny broomstick, and you still had the guts to cheat on Chika? My dear, you can't believe how disappointed I was after seeing it. I don't know how that useless girl allowed such a manless man to sleep with her. Some ladies are really desperate. Thank the gods I refused to sleep with him all this while to respect our customs, Chika told her friends in an innocent manner. Uchenna stood and watched them laugh away with a broken heart. He might have dated Chika out of pressure, but he did love her. How could she betray and lie to him like this? She wasted no time in spreading his weakness to the entire village. He has now seen her true colors, which she had been hiding for a very long time now. With so much pain, Uchenna returned to his hut. He isolated himself for days without going to his farm nor stepping out of his compound. No one came to look for him, not even the people he thought were his friends. Some days, staying inside his hut made the situation even more worse. The maidens would often come and scream mocking words at him. The mockery and laughter about Uchenna extended to composed by the villagers. Even the elders too joined in the mockery of Uchenna's condition. The elderly men in particular considered Uchenna a disgrace to manhood. After getting tired of locking himself up, Uchenna picked up his working tools and headed to his farm. It made no difference. After all, whether he stayed at home or not, they would always come to mock him. On the way, he met a group of his former friends chatting and gossiping loudly about him. Uchenna did not have any plans of attacking them, but still they wouldn't let him leave without raining mocking words on him. Let the young man be, a beautiful young maiden who had been watching what was going on ordered. The men had no other choice than to obey because the maiden in question was the beautiful Princess Ada, the only woman who was feared by all the men even in the neighboring communities, for her dignity and high self-esteem. Uchenna thanked her and made to walk away, but Princess Ada insisted on going with him to see how he plants his cassava. "You and I are similar, you know," Princess Ada told Uchenna. Uchenna was surprised by her words. What could an incomplete man like him have in common with a princess like her? "You feel insecure of your own body. I feel the same being a princess. You can't find genuine love because of your manhood, and the same goes to me. All the men who come for my hand in marriage are only interested in my father's crown. But what you have to learn to live with is that life is not perfect, and as such, one can't have it all. The moment you realize that you'll find peace with yourself, and that's what matters," Princess Ada told him. Ada's words replayed on Uchenna's head for days. He realized that if a princess like her, who has everything at her disposal, could lack something, then indeed one can't expect to have it all. The words uplifted his spirit, and he went on with his activities in the village, not caring about what others said. He met Ada and thanked him for changing his life, and from that day on, they became friends and met each other more often. Months passed with some strange occurrence in the land of Omoke. The villagers began experiencing a drastic drop in their harvest. Crops withered. Even their stock was slowly decaying, yet no one had a solution to their problems. The villagers and elders, together with the king, complained to the chief priest, fearing that it was only a matter of time before they died of hunger if something is not done to redress the situation. The chief priest himself was surprised and confused. Matters became worse when the gods refused to speak. The villagers were advised to perform sacrifices, but to no avail. Surprisingly, the only person who had more than enough to sell to the entire village was Uchenna. The villagers were baffled at the band of yams, cocoyams, and tubers of cassava that Uchenna had in his compound. Uchenna too could not explain how he stored all of his harvest without it getting bad like that of the other villagers. What was more surprising was that the more he took to sell, the more the harvest increased. Soon, the entire village depended on Uchenna for food, making almost the entire village very angry. They accused Uchenna of practicing witchcraft on the villagers' crops just so he could make a lot of money and at the same time get back at them. One day, a group of angry young men gathered at the village square to discuss how to deal with Uchenna. "Maybe we should try to beg him to show us his secret of having so much food. Let's swallow our pride rather than die of starvation," one of the young men suggested, much to the denial of the others. "Do you know what you've just said? You expect fool men like us to kneel before an incomplete man like Uchenna. That is an abomination," the others spat with raw hatred and pride. They decided to go to Uchenna's house and carry all of his harvest, leaving behind only a single yam. They shared the food to the entire villagers. Uchenna just watched and didn't bother to protest nor fight them. He rather walked back home, expecting to see an empty barn, but when he opened the door, he was surprised to see that the barn had filled itself. It was almost as if nothing had been taken from him. How is this possible? He thought to himself. The only thing he could do was thank the gods for providing food for him. Meanwhile, the villagers, after enjoying all what was taken from Uchenna, returned back to their former state of serious starvation. They were baffled and angry at the fact that Uchenna seems untouchable despite the attack. So they conspired again, stormed Uchenna's hut and carried all of his harvest at will. But surprisingly, Uchenna never lacked as his harvest mysteriously further increased. Soon afterwards, the living conditions of the villagers worsened. Their streams and rivers were now drying up, and more to that, a sudden illness that no one knew about attacked Princess Ada. The day the gods finally spoke, the chief priest confronted the king and told him Ada's cure lied on Uchenna's manhood. The king was furious after hearing what the chief priest said. He told him he did not see his vision clearly, for he will not allow a half-man like Uchenna to sleep with his precious daughter. The king rather sent words to the entire Omoke village, inviting all the abled men. Anyone who succeeded to heal the princess was to be her future husband and next king. Uchenna on his side felt pity for the princess. Her father, the king, was bringing her greatest challenge to life by putting the crown as a reward, and more than anything, he was being cruel to his own daughter, as almost all the men will have to sleep with her to see who can heal her. He wished he could help her, but he knew he didn't stand a chance against neither the king nor the other men of Omoke. Meanwhile, the whole village was buzzing with anticipation to see who could cure Princess Ada. More food was confiscated from Uchenna by the youth to prepare a memorable feast for the event. The night before the event, something mysterious took place at night, and the next morning, the entire village was in chaos. The manhood of the men in the entire village, even that of the king, had become very big. So big and large that they could barely walk. The entire village was in total confusion while Princess Ada laid waiting for her death to take her. Uchenna, hearing what had happened in the village, was truly baffled. He wondered who could save the princess now. With a little bravery, Uchenna walked to the palace. He couldn't allow a good soul like that of Princess Ada to be wasted. She helped shed more light to his life. This was the time she needed his friendship. With none of the guards nor the king able to stop him, Uchenna walked into Ada's chambers and slept with her. He waited beside her for over 30 minutes before the princess finally awoke. Ada, filled with a lot of appreciation, thanked Uchenna. She was grateful that it was him rather than any of the other men who took her innocence. When Uchenna and Ada stepped out of Ada's hut, they were surprised to see the chief priest and the elders waiting for them. "Please, Uche," the elders began, "forgive us for the sins we committed against you and free us from this pain," they pleaded. Uchenna was perplexed. "The solution of the problems in this land lies in your forgiveness, Uchenna," the chief priest told him. "Even when I did nothing to you, the entire village did not leave me be. You took my food and still threw insults on me, but I have nothing against Omoke. If the solution of your problems is in my forgiveness, then you are forgiven. I am not like the rest of you who ridicule and want to kill others because of their weaknesses," Uchenna said and walked away from them. Days passed and slowly the punishment on the men began to wear off. On the last day of the final healing, instead of recovering the normal manhood size, their manhood instead became very small. In fact, Uchenna's manhood was 3 times better. Uchenna's compound soon flooded with the entire village at his doorstep, begging him to ask the gods to return their normal manhood size. Please, Uchenna, as we speak, 3 men and some women have already committed suicide because they could not bear living with their present condition. One man pleaded to Uchenna. It has only been an hour and they have committed suicide. What about me that had to live with my condition and your insults? Uchenna asked. I have already forgiven Omoke. Only the gods know why you all ended up like this. You and your partners will just have to accept the situation, Uchenna said and walked back inside his hut. The men of Umoke returned back to their homes, feeling life drained from their bodies. Some accepted their situation, while others refused to give up. They went in search of powerful healers and chief priests from different lands. Others drank different kinds of herbs, but nothing changed. Finally, each of them came to understand that the size of a man's manhood does not make him any better or less than another. They could still satisfy their women in bed and produce children just like before. Meanwhile, Uchenna, even after things returned back to normal in the village, had become the richest farmer from the sales he made during the drought. Chika, disappointed by the turns of events, approached Uchenna and begged for him to accept her back. She tried so many times to seduce him into sleeping with her, but Uchenna pushed her away. Uchenna's relationship with Princess Ada grew even further, and even though he had automatically become the next king, he did not intend to marry Ada, at least not for the purpose of becoming king, but for both of them to love each other genuinely in due time. This is the end of Uchenna's story. Now, if you agree with me that the size of a man's manhood does not determine his capabilities, then do me a favor and click the subscription bell so you'll be the first to know when next I upload. Thank you for your time and attention.